Okay, well, here's another one for the test rig. This is a 1980 Casablanca Zephyr. Parts of it look copper, but it's all antique brass, just the way some of the brass parts faded over time. This one's kind of an interesting combination because it has a paper tag, it has a cardboard box variable speed system, it has a bell canopy, but it has a K55 motor in it. I really hoped when I saw that it was going to be K63, but it's not. So, but you know, a Zephyr's a Zephyr. This is another thing that can happen when you're when you do a fair amount of business with the local habitat restores, especially if, like in this area, they partner with a bunch of people that gut houses that have been empty for a long time. Oh, look at that! The Centurion says hi. So. It's kind of what happened here. House that had been empty for some time, I don't know how long, that was being remodeled by Habitat. Had a couple of these fans in it, and apparently the guy who works at the local restore passed along the message that I would be interested in these old fans, so he called me one day and said, "Hey, there's a house that's got some old Casablanca fans if you'd be interested." And I'm like, yeah. And so they'd done all the disassembly for me. You know, they at least took them off the ceiling. I just had to take them apart in the driveway. But as far as I understand, this was the living room fan in that house, which makes sense given that there is no light on it. The ring that you see on the switch housing, or you might be able to see, I've had a light on it for a little while, but I'll go ahead and turn it on here. Got the control set to its lowest setting. This one's actually not too bad as far as buzz goes. This thing was filthy when I got it. It's still not great, but it's better than it was. Low speed trim is set a little high. I mean, it's not a bad low speed, but I also prefer to have, you know, the option of having the fan just creepy crawling along, and this isn't doing that. But that's a pretty good functional low speed that's also slow enough for my standards. Kick it up a little bit here. It's kind of medium. Bearings are a little hissy. I suspect this thing was probably smoked around. You know what, let's just kick it all the way wide open. Got a little bit of a wobble to it, not too bad. Bearings are a little hissy. Unlike that baseball fan though, it does move a lot of air. Up coast here. See how long that takes. But yeah, I have two other fans that came out of the same house. It was a package deal. They were also both Casablancas. And I will see if I can get the two of them videoed tonight. That's probably where I'm going to stop for tonight, though, after I get those two done. You can't really see the canopy, but the canopy is very coppery looking. To the point where when I got pictures of these things before I went over there to pick them up, which is how I knew what they were. I knew they were something I'd be interested in. And at first I almost thought this was a combination of brass and copper. I had forgotten that some of the brass parts faded differently, but I was wrong. You can, if you look on the inside of the switch cap, it's antique brass. It looks copper. And like the downrod sleeve looks coppery, but if you look above where the canopy was, it's brass. So it's just how it worked, I guess. It's still a little dirty. I cleaned it up some, but you could use more cleaning. Plus again, this thing was filthy. Like it had leaves in it when I got it. Which I'm not really sure how that happened, given that it was in the living room, but who knows. I also don't know, I went over there because I went over there the one day with the guy from Habitat, and they weren't there, they weren't down yet. And I went over a few days later, and they were sitting in the driveway, which is where I was told they would be. And I don't know how long they might have been out there. They could have been taken down later that day and been out there for a few days, for all I know. Let's give it a 0 to high, even though I probably shouldn't with the rubber flywheel, but you only live once, so. There you go. There's our next piece of the test rig. So I'll see if I can get those other two Casablancas from the same house videoed tonight, as well as the third one, which was not installed in that house, but I suspect it might have been at one point. And I'll explain why when I video that, but I don't know if I'll get to that one tonight. We'll see. There you go.